Hello everyone, welcome to the new channel that I have just made. This channel is dedicated to predicting elections, looking at long-term or short-term trends in the various states, looking at what's going on in the news and at approval ratings to see the path that each candidate has to winning the presidency. For this video, we're going to look at the various tops of states, how states have been trending, and how that corresponds to the 2020 election. So for our candidates, we have obviously the Republican Trump-Pence ticket. For Joe Biden, we don't know his VP running mate yet, and that could play a role in the campaign. So let's look at the trends. So you can see many of the states that went for Obama in 2008 and 2012 went for Trump. They flipped or they trended heavily. You can see Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, all of those flipped red from 2012. You can see that states like New Hampshire, Minnesota, Nevada, Maine, they all trended red by a pretty considerable margin. You also have your other outliers here from the trend, which is Arizona, which has been trending a lot more blue. Texas as well, which is making them a little bit more competitive. Georgia too, but not by a huge margin, but it's still trending. So let's look at Trump's approval rating right now. So Trump's approval rating sits at around 44.6, so we could probably round that to around 45. Just about a month ago, Trump hit a ceiling of 47.4. That's his highest approval rating, and his disapproval fell below 50. So that was looking great for him. Since then, it's kind of receded into a trough. So he's at the lower point right now, but it is still higher than his long-term trend. So he has a higher floor than maybe a lot of us expected. So he's pretty good when it comes to the floor, and we'll probably expect that his approval goes back up. If we follow the trends, disapproval goes down. If we keep following the trends, maybe his approval rating will be around 47, 48. Okay. Something else to look at here. Just give it a second. Okay, if it doesn't want to load, I'll just say it. Joe Biden's favorable rating is sitting at around 41%. That's not great. It's not great for him, which means people aren't really enthused for him. They don't particularly love him. They just don't. They're not admired by him. He makes a lot of gaffes. He's not really the best debater. And especially with the new Tara Reade allegations, that could be hurting him within various groups of the party. I don't expect the Tara Reade allegations to hit him too hard, but it sure could have an impact within the progressive wing of the party. So we're going to be using all that information in order to put out this election map here. We're going to fill out toss-ups, leans, likelies, whatever. So let's start. We're going to go west to east. So the state of Nevada, I'm going to actually put that in close toss-up territory. The reason I'm doing that is if you look at the trends, you can see that Nevada was really close. It trended a lot more red than it was in 2012, and it's been on that trend. In 2018, we saw that the Democrats won in that state. They won a Senate seat, but that was during a blue wave year. And I can't exactly say 100% for sure how turnout is going to be by party in the presidential election, but I'm just going to predict that you're probably going to see a little bit more high Republican turnout because it's a presidential election, incumbency, all those factors. So I'm just going to put Nevada right now in the toss-up, I can't say for sure which direction it's going to go in. Same thing with Arizona, because you've been seeing that it's been trending a lot more blue. The Democrats won the Senate seat in 2016, and that same losing senator, Republican senator, that they put up in Arizona in 2018 is now running again. So it's a big battle of whether she's going to lose again or she can actually pull it off with the help of Donald Trump. But looking at the trends, it's going to be a really close race there. It's going to be one of the closest races of the night. So I can't say for sure how that's going to go. Coming out of New Mexico, that's probably going to be likely. It's been trending a bit red if we move back, but it hasn't really been enough. I still expect it to go likely blue. I don't think that Republicans are going to win it unless if something drastic happens during the meantime. Looking at Colorado, I expect it to go in the lean Democratic column. Colorado trended a tiny bit red, but barely anything. And it doesn't really look like Republicans have made much progress there. They also have a very vulnerable Senate seat, which is looking like it has a good chance of flipping in 2020. Cannot say that for sure again, but looking at the trends, it's going to be really hard for Republicans to win there. Looking at Nebraska second, I'm going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, put it in the lean column. It was a very close 2-point margin for Trump in 2016. I don't expect that to change. Again, Republicans, when they're campaigning in 2020, should not forget about this district because it could flip. It could. Obama won in 08. It hasn't changed since, but it still could because of the close margin in 2016. In terms of Texas, it's been trending more blue, but I'm just going to put it in the likely Republican column. I don't expect that state to flip at all. If you're looking back at 2018, the Senate race, yes, was closer, but Ted Cruz isn't the most highly approved senator there. He's not as popular as Trump is. Most Texans approve of Trump's job, approve of the coronavirus response. They're putting on a senator for re-election who is pretty well liked, pretty universally liked. Maybe not completely, but his seat isn't necessarily in danger. So I expect that to go likely Republican. Same thing with Iowa. Iowa's been trending red. The only thing that could probably make it a little bit more competitive is the whole thing with the tariffs situation, hurting farmers. That could make it a little bit more competitive, but I still expect the trends to hold on to where they've been going. And I'll just hold on to these Rust Belt states until the end. Ohio, I expect to go likely red. It's been trending that way. It was a huge Republican swing since 2012. Here's 2012, and it went way to the Republican column. And if we keep following that trend, then I'm going to expect Ohio to go likely red. Georgia, I expect to lean Republican, sorry. Looking at the trends, it did trend a little bit blue, but it hasn't been a huge swing. The Republican governor candidate won against Stacey Abrams in 2018 during a blue wave year. I expect Georgia to stay in the Republican column. I don't expect the swing to be too much. Sure, it could trend a little bit more Democrat. It could be a problem for Republicans sometime in the future, but I don't expect that yet. Florida. Florida's a big state. I will give Trump the benefit of the doubt of tilt Republican. The reason I'm doing that is for a few reasons. One, it's his home state now. Two, Florida's been voting for the incumbent since 2000. They voted to re-elect George Bush, re-elect Barack Obama, and I expect the same thing to happen for Trump. They just tend to vote for the incumbent and then swing in favor of in the election where there's two new candidates. They tend to swing every 8 years. Another thing is the governor and senator seats. During a blue wave year where both Bill Nelson and Andrew Gillum were actually expected to win, Republicans were able to hold that off. It was by a narrow margin, but they still did, and it was impressive during a blue wave year. So I expect that to go in the Republican column. North Carolina, I expect to go in the lean Republican column. North Carolina, looking at the trends, has been trending red. I expect it to stay that way. I don't expect it to really flip. Unless if something big happens, I expect that to go in Trump's column. Virginia is going to go in the likely Democrat column. Looking at the trends again, even during a year where many Obama seats trended red, Virginia did not. It actually went somewhat a little bit more Democrat. I expect the Democrats will hold on to that. The only thing that can make it a little bit more competitive is the governor's unpopularity there, and also possibly the whole gun rights situation there could really get gun owners to rise up and go out and vote. Again, I don't know yet. It's too far out. We're still 5 or 6 months away. New Hampshire, it's going to be a really close race there. That's pure toss-up. Clinton only won it by a few thousand votes, I believe. I might be wrong, but I believe that's correct. And it can swing in either direction. I cannot make an accurate prediction there yet. Maine at large, I also expect to be close. If you look at the trends, Maine altogether has swung a huge margin to the Republican column. So I expect that to be pretty competitive there. I don't expect it to be safe Democrat or likely Democrat. I expect it to be pretty competitive there. And Maine second is probably likely going to go for Trump. Again, with the trends, that district is pretty rural, so that's really beneficial for Republicans there, along with that huge swing. Looking at some of these other states, I'll start with Minnesota. Hey, I'm just going to give Biden the benefit of the doubt, put it in the tilt Democratic column. That state was very close in 2016. In order for Trump to win that state, he probably needs to get his approval up a little bit more. So if it gets up a few more points, yeah, I can say it's probably more competitive. But I'm just going to say it's going to go in the Biden column. Now, it also matters who Biden picks as his VP. If he picks Amy Klobuchar, I'm going to say that he has a way better chance of winning Minnesota than if he doesn't pick Amy Klobuchar. If Biden wants to win that state, he should probably choose Amy Klobuchar if he wants to absolutely secure. In the case of Michigan, I will give Biden the benefit of the doubt there too. Just looking at Trump's approval rating, he just needs to get that up a little more. If you were going to ask me a few weeks ago when his approval rating was higher, I'd probably rate that as close or tilt Republican. But I'm just going to give Biden the benefit of the doubt again. Same thing in Pennsylvania. Biden's from there. He has a connection to voters a little bit better there than probably Clinton did. Just again, approval rating, Trump needs to get that a little bit more up. And something I forgot to mention in Michigan is Justin Amash. We don't know 100% yet how Justin Amash is going to affect either base. Some people say, oh, it can hurt Biden more. Some people say, oh, it could hurt Trump more. I don't know yet. I think Justin Amash will steal quite a bit of votes there, but I can't make an accurate prediction on that yet. In Wisconsin, I'm just going to put as close because there are various polls saying, oh, Trump's up or oh, Biden's up. It's too far out to make a prediction. Again, I can't say 100% for sure what state's going to go for what. Once we know a little bit more, we can make more accurate predictions. Some important factors that we can look at are the debates, how those go, how Americans perceive each candidate during those debates. Joe Biden isn't seen as particularly the best debater. He fumbles a lot. He makes a lot of gaffes. And it's not going to be as easy as those Democratic debates. For the most part, The other candidates were pretty easy on Joe. Trump is going to just tear him apart if Biden lets him. So Biden is really going to have to step up his game if he wants to have a chance at beating Trump in those debates. Scandals, particularly Tara Reade, we're going to see how that unfolds. In my opinion, I'm not going to say Biden is guilty or not. I don't know. Let's wait for the evidence to come out. If there's more substantial evidence, okay, that's going to hurt Biden, especially among those progressive voters. Another thing is COVID-19, how the administration responds to the remaining time that COVID-19 is prevalent, what's going to happen in the fall, and how elections are going to be held during this time is an important factor too. Another thing I could possibly see in the future is the response to China. How is the United States going to respond to China along with the world? How are we going to treat them? What are we going to do? Are we going to punish them? Is a big thing. And how is that going to affect our relations with them? And the last thing I'll say here is the economy. If the economy doesn't get better, then Trump isn't really in danger, because that is the main talking point that he had, was the economy, the stock market, record low unemployment. That was probably the main thing that would have gotten him reelected. But now that the economy is a little bit more downhill, is a lot more downhill actually. You've seen record high unemployment since the Great Depression as of today. It's around 14%, so that's a lot. But we're going to have to see what happens there, what happens with those jobs. A lot of jobs won't come back. A lot of businesses, they're going to be out of business, and it's not going to be good for a lot of people. So another factor in that is, are Americans going to be comfortable changing administrations within a crisis such as this? Among an uncertain time, if this is still a huge problem, are Americans really willing to change administrations? Are some people worried about changing the balance of power and changing policies during this time? It's the same thing with George Bush when we were in war in Afghanistan and Iraq, dealing with the whole terrorism threat. A lot of people were uncertain about changing the president and the administration, in fear that things could get worse. So that's all that I have for you guys today. If you guys have any suggestions on how I could better predict these elections, please let me know. This is the best I got for right now, and as I said before, as we move along, I could probably make better projections with more polls coming out, the news coming out, the approval ratings. Those all play a huge deal in how this election is going to go.